Hi students, we're going to spend a few minutes, probably 10 to 15 minutes actually, going through some of the key parts of the syllabus. One of the first things I want to do is point out that I'm going to be having office hours from 10 to 11 on Wednesdays, and I'll also be available via Blackboard Collaborate and Google Hangouts, as you can see, on at a time that we determine after I kind of poll the class. But it looks like this semester I'm going to actually be physically in the office on Wednesday mornings, minimally from 10 to 11, and probably more likely from about 9 to 1. Here you see my telephone number. You also see my email. This is hyperlinked as well from the syllabus. Not going to spend a whole lot of time going over the course description and the objectives, as I think those are pretty self-explanatory, but what I want to do is actually scroll down and spend a little time talking about what is due and when it's due. The key thing to note is that anything that's due is actually noted in red in the course schedule here, and you can see basically some examples of this. Again, scrolling down here a little bit further, you see the course schedule, and I encourage you to read it and be pretty familiar with it. Another thing that I want to emphasize is that since this is an online class, we're going to be doing a variety of things here, including discussion boards, online learning activities, PowerPoint presentation, some online exercises and activities. You're not required to come to campus, but you may be given assignments in the community. Okay, scrolling down even further, hopefully you've already gotten the text and you're familiar with those, but I also want to, encourage you, here we go, to make sure that you get the APA guide. There's really no substitute for the APA guide. Continuing to scroll down here, one of the things that is important to note is that assignments are due on 12 o'clock on the date indicated in the syllabus, and they will not be accepted late unless prior arrangements have been made with me by email on 10 a.m. by 10 a.m. on the due date. And please note the schedule here. Again, scrolling down, our equipment, our technology is a little bit slow here. Sorry about this. Okay. So you see the penalties basically, and it's basically one letter grade for every 24 hours. This is a higher penalty than what some of you will have seen in the bachelor's program if you've had me. And that's actually by design. You're master students now, and it makes sense that there would be higher penalties. So keep these in mind here. Also note that no assignments will be accepted more than 7 days late, and you must turn in all assignments within 7 days in order to pass the class, regardless of whether or not you've done well in other aspects of the class. Okay, so you can see also here what's expected of you in the class. Got attendance, and you're required to check in every 2 weeks, at least every 2 weeks, and that is worth 4% of the total grade for the class. Discussion boards, there are 4 of them. They are worth a total of 8% of the total grade. You have 3 reaction papers. You have what is close to being a midterm, that's worth 25% of your grade. You have a KAS paper that's worth 20% of your grade. And then basically what is close to a final exam, but it's not comprehensive. It covers the second half of the class, and that's also worth 25% of your grade. So you can see the weight distribution here. Okay. The grading scale here is the one that is used by the School of Social Work. It is not something that I've predetermined. If I had predetermined it, it would be the more standard scale of 90 plus, 80 plus, 70 plus, and that type of thing. And actually, now that I'm seeing this, I see that there is a slight error in this, which is just unfortunate. But I'll make plans to correct that. It may be, and I need to double check this, that the master's program does not give D's as the bachelor program does. It's been a couple of years since I taught this class, so I need to double check that. Okay, continuing to scroll down, I would encourage you, if you are a student with any sort of disability, to to register with the DRC, and you can see the link here, ualr.edu/disability. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, if any, going through the honor code statement and the academic integrity information, as I think you can read that. But this is something actually that is really important to focus on here, the inclement weather policy. Since this is an online class, you are responsible for all content in a given week, regardless of the weather conditions, and it's really important to emphasize this. So even if class is canceled for a day or two due to inclement weather, you're still responsible for the content, even if you don't have internet access at your home. And please be familiar with the inclement weather policy posted here at this link. Okay, Title IX is actually something that I feel very strongly about, and I would encourage you to read this information. It is a civil rights law that prohibits sex discrimination in education, and it goes well beyond the scope of making sure that girls and women have equal access to sports. Basically, any educational institution that receives money from the federal government is subject to Title IX. And if you feel that you've been subject to any sort of inappropriate behavior, any sort of discrimination or harassment on the basis of your real or perceived, and this is really key, real or perceived sex, gender identity, and or gender expression, you are actually covered. So this includes male, female, gender nonconforming students, faculty and staff. You're all protected from sex-based discrimination, harassment, and violence. So please be familiar with this, and if you've not taken the training on this that's required of all students, please do so. So again, scrolling down, the thing that I'm going to spend the most time on actually here is, and again, we're having some interesting things going on with technology. The communication with you is what I deem to be ultimately one of the most important things in any sort of relationship, and it's particularly important in the online classes because building that relationship between you and I is actually pretty difficult since we don't see each other face to face. So the key thing here is that it's going to be really important that we communicate by email, and I expect that you will check email at least twice a week and respond to my emails within a timely manner. And you can see information about what I expect are appropriate ways for you to communicate with me. I put this in all my undergraduate syllabus and generally don't have to worry about it with master students, but I still include it nonetheless, just so you're aware of what my expectations are. So again, scrolling down here, as noted elsewhere, you are responsible for all content posted on Blackboard and are expected to check it at least every other week. You can also communicate with me via Blackboard messaging, and you'll see in the Blackboard shell that there is a messages link for me. I've also created an anonymous discussion board that I call Ask Anything, and you'll see a link to that on the left side of your page. And anytime you post on that, I will be notified that someone has posted, and I'll reply as soon as I can. And the key thing is that this is an opportunity for you to ask something anonymously, or if you want to ask something that you want your classmates to have access to. So if you post anonymously, that's fine. I don't have any concerns about that. In fact, that's why I leave it as an option. If you post something that is not anonymous, I would just encourage you not to post anything terribly personal about that, and instead to find another way to contact me with that information, such as by emailing me or by messaging me privately. Okay, Google Chat and Hangouts is something new that I'm using, but you can send a message to me or you can video call me via Google Hangouts, and basically this is the link here, and you can do this from your email by opening a message from me, and you can see how to do it here, and then clicking on the Open Chat with Dr. Crisp, and a window will pop up that will enable you to chat with me if I'm available. And I tend to be basically online a lot and tend to have my computer basically open anytime I'm sitting at it. So again, continuing to scroll down here, doing some things that are a little bit different this semester, things I have not done before in an online class, but basically I'm going to be creating online office hours via Blackboard at a time that works best for students, and I will poll the students here in a few days, poll your class during the first week of the semester, and then we will be doing that via Blackboard Collaborate, and I'll be providing information on how to use that. I've also created a Twitter account for MSW Diversity, and you certainly don't have to check that, but I'll be posting information that I find on Twitter. I've also created a Facebook group just for this class, and you can see the address CRISP MSW Diversity 2016, and it gives you information about that. One of the things that I actually enjoy doing a lot is sharing inspirational information, and so I've actually created a very specific Instagram account to post information for my students, and it's Dr. Crisp UALR. So if you're interested in receiving that kind of stuff and you're on Instagram, I would encourage you to follow me. Again, no obligation. Last but not least, face-to-face. I'm very open to meeting face-to-face. Typically, I will be around on Wednesday mornings and probably Thursday mornings, but we can also set up a time in which we can chat in person at my office, and in a worst-case scenario, we could also meet off campus if that's more convenient for both of us. Okay, the final information we're going to talk about today is going to be very brief, and we're actually going to talk about some of the assignment information. I'll actually create a separate video in which we'll go over the assignment information in a little bit more detail. But the key thing is that you must actually log in to this class at least every other week. I believe earlier in the syllabus it actually says weekly, but for master students I only require that you log in every other week. And you can see the information about the impact on your grade for failing to do so. Also, scrolling down, there are 4 discussion boards, and the dates are actually in your syllabus, and you've got them right here. The first one is actually due here on the 28th, and that's your introduction. It should be available on Blackboard with this class. The second one is due on the 11th, 9/11, and it's on privilege. You have a third one on economic oppression on October 23rd, and then you've got the final one on December 5th that you're asked to talk about the future. And you can read basically my expectations for them here, as well as their weight for your grade, basically worth 2% of your grade. The key thing, though, that you need to note is that you must participate in at least 3 discussion boards of the 4, and if you fail to participate in at least 3 of the 4 discussion boards, you may fail the class, and that's regardless of how well you're doing in other aspects of the class. Okay. Reaction papers, again, scrolling down, I will give you more information about those. They're going to be very similar to each other, but there will be some differences in them, and again, I'll be providing information about those in more detail via something similar to this in terms of an audio with the detailed information about them. But please note the due dates. Again, September 6th here, so very quickly, and I'll have information up in the next couple of days about that. Halloween, October 31st, and then November 28th on religious minorities. Okay. So again, scrolling down, there's going to be 2 exams. Exam 1 will be open on October 5th and will close on October 7th. And then Exam 2 will open up on December 7th and close on December 9th. And again, more information will be presented as the semester goes on. Okay. Finally, very large paper here. I call it the KAS paper, which is a knowledge, attitudes, and skills paper, and it's largely a research paper, whereby you have to identify several components, including the knowledge, attitudes, and skills to work with members of an oppressed group. And again, I'll be giving you more information about that. I'm currently working with the librarian to identify resources that will be available to you for those papers. So basically this concludes the discussion of the syllabus. As I said, I'll be going into more detail on the papers, the exams, what I expect, and the discussion boards in 1 or more separate videos. So looking forward to a great semester. Can't wait to meet you all online as well as perhaps in person if our schedules permit. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm available for you. My goal is that you will succeed as much as you want to and as much as you can invest the time in doing so. Have a great semester and keep in touch.